Ever wondered what really separates a good boss from a truly great leader? Well, today, we're diving into Dale Carnegie's The Leader in You. This book isn't about climbing some corporate ladder. It's all about learning how to lift others up with you.
So, let me just ask you this straight up. Is your boss a leader? Go ahead, take a second and really think about that. Your answer, whatever it is, probably gets right to the core of what Dale Carnegie was talking about. That massive difference between just being in charge and actually inspiring people. And it really boils down to something like this, doesn't it? A boss commands, but a leader coaches. A boss operates with authority, a leader builds goodwill through collaboration. It's a fundamental shift in mindset, from seeing people as line items on a budget to seeing them as your absolute greatest assets. It's the difference between always saying I and truly living we. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about why that old-school command and control style is basically obsolete. Then, we'll get into what Carnegie calls the human relations revolution and unpack the 3 pillars of great leadership: communication, motivation, and teamwork. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a blueprint you can start using tomorrow.
All right, let's kick things off with our first big idea, the end of the boss. We're going to explore why the old rules of management are completely broken in today's world.
Just think about how much the world has changed. We are in a constant whirlwind of global competition, technology that moves at the speed of thought, and just constant change. That old top-down way of managing, it's like trying to win a Formula One race in a horse and buggy. It's just too slow. It completely crushes creativity, and honestly, it's a surefire way to get left in the dust.
Carnegie just nails it with this quote. The day has long since passed when a company could be run with a bullwhip and a chair. Right? Leading by fear and intimidation, that's ancient history. Today's world demands a totally new set of tools.
So if the old way is totally broken, what's the solution? Well, that brings us right to Section 2, the human relations revolution. This is where we shift from the problem to Carnegie's incredibly powerful solution.
A quick look back shows exactly how we got to this point. After World War II, everything was structured top-down. But then, in the 70s, global competition started heating up, and the tech boom of the 90s just blew that old model to pieces. It simply couldn't keep up. Leadership had to evolve, and that led us to the people-first approach we're talking about today.
So here's the bottom line, the core idea of this whole book. Real leadership has nothing to do with your job title. It's all about your ability to connect with people, to understand what really drives them, and to inspire them to go after a shared vision together. If you get that right, pretty much everything else just falls into place.
And that leads us perfectly into our third section, the very first pillar of leadership. Communicate, don't just command. This is really the foundation of everything. It's where trust is either built or completely broken.
I love this insight from the book because it totally flips our usual ideas about communication upside down. We tend to think it's all about talking, about having the right words, right? But Carnegie says no. The real power, the real influence, comes from listening. You can't persuade anyone of anything until you truly understand where they're coming from.
You see, effective communication is a two-way street. It's about ending that one-way monologue of do this, do that, and instead opening up a real dialogue. The moment people feel heard, truly heard, that's the moment trust begins to grow. So how do you actually do this? Well, it's simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. It means making a real effort to see things from their point of view. It means being genuinely interested in them as people. Show them you care about their well-being, not just their output. And maybe the hardest part of all? Just listen. Patiently, with an open mind, without interrupting to plan your response.
Okay, so once you've built that foundation of trust, you can move on to the next piece, which is our fourth section, motivation from the inside out. This is all about creating an environment where people want to do their best work, no nagging required.
This quote really gets to the core of human psychology. Sure, you can use fear or pressure to get people to do things, but you can never, ever scare them into being brilliant or passionate. To get someone's absolute best, their most creative work, you have to find a way to make them want to give it to you.
And that is the secret to true motivation. It's not about pushing people from behind. It's about lighting a fire within them. When people feel a real sense of purpose and ownership, they don't need a push. They're pulled forward by their own internal drive.
Carnegie gives us 3 simple keys to unlock this. First, include them. Don't just hand down assignments, involve them in the whole process. Second, individualize. See them as unique people, not just cogs in a machine. And third, recognize.
Seriously, never, ever underestimate the power of genuine specific praise. It might be the most powerful motivator we have.
So, you've got these motivated individuals. What's next? Well, now you have to bring them together effectively. This brings us to Section 5, Leading Through Teamwork, where we talk about shifting from those rigid pyramids to dynamic, collaborative teams. The complex, messy problems we're all facing today, they just can't be solved by one person working alone in a corner. As this quote says, the era of the Lone Ranger is over. Success in our world absolutely requires a team of people with different skills and diverse perspectives, all working together.
And you can see that massive shift right here. We're moving away from that old, slow, rigid pyramid structure. And instead, we're embracing these faster, more flexible team models where decision-making is shared and great ideas can come from literally anywhere organization.
So how do you build a team that thrives like that? It all starts with truly appreciating the unique talents each person brings to the table. It means staying involved, continuing to listen, and acting as a mentor to help people grow. But you know, the real test of a great leader? Leaving behind a team that is so strong, it's ready to lead without you. All right, let's bring it all home. In our final section, we're going to pull all these pieces together into your leadership blueprint. This is where we turn these powerful ideas into practical actions. When you boil it all down, it really comes back to these three things. Number 1, lead with empathy. Always. Always start by trying to genuinely see their perspective. 2, motivate with purpose. Don't just command. Create an environment where people want to bring their best. And 3, build through trust. Never forget that your ability to listen is your single greatest leadership tool. Because at the end of the day, leadership isn't a position you're given. It's a choice you make every single day. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What is the one small change you will make tomorrow to become the kind of leader you'd be proud to follow?